Hey everyone, it's January 18th, 2021, and here I'm back to share with you today's story. Now, today's story comes from this country. Can you guess? That's right. It's where? Canada. So around the globe, here is Canada just above the USA. So we will put Canada right up here on the hook here. Yay. Okay. Now, did you know that there are 13 provinces of Canada? And what is Canada famous for? Canada is famous for what? Maple syrup, which is why that is the maple leaf. Well, I will tell you that I used to be very envious of Canadians. You know, Canadians are one of the most peaceful people that I have met. Very good Canadian friends. And I used to be envious of them because in South Korea, Canadians get 6 months visa permission to stay in Korea, whereas Americans, we get only 90 days. So I got curious and I asked Korean immigration why that is. And Korean immigration, they said, we don't know. Okay. And then I had the opportunity to ask my embassy. When I went to my US embassy in Seoul, they gave me the best diplomatic answer. You know what that was? It's their law. That is about pretty much an answer I would expect to receive when asking myself, and I'm going to ask you right now, the same thing if I try to get an answer for this. Why is it that in America, our bathroom stalls, you can see everyone who's in it. But in Korea bathroom stalls, it's all closed and it's very private. Now, you know what? I would appreciate your likes. You know what? Yeah, even your subscriptions and your comments, because I would definitely love to know why is it that American bathrooms can have this opening, but in Korea, you have complete privacy, where no one even can tell or try to read your gene brands. You know what? You just sit there and think about that. Let that sink in, okay? Now, in the meantime, because this is about Canada, I mentioned before that Itaewon is the famous place, the crossroads where business happens, where foreigners meet foreigners and Koreans, and we all get together, and it's a very kind of a great place to hang out and just kind of, yes, party together. Now, I'm going to dedicate today's lesson to a very good friend of mine. A very good friend of mine that a lot of you watching this video will recognize. This was my friend, Patrick Forrestal. Now, Mr. Patrick Forrestal, he was, again, he was a good friend of mine. And he goes, at Patrick, every time he walked into the bar, there I was, and he was a good friend of mine. He always walked in with a smile. He was so energetic. People loved him. He just had this radiance about them. And every time I saw him, I always had to say and sing, "Oh, Canada." So that's what I would always say, our home and native land. And he would always get a kick out of me saying that. Again, I dedicate this to him in his memory. He passed away a few years ago. So for him, this is for him. All right, Patrick. All right. He had a very deep respect for Korea and for Koreans because they had helped him a long time ago in another incident. So again, like him, I also have a deep respect for the people also because of the way they helped him as well. Okay, well, everyone, today's lesson is about how to practice eliciting with CCQ on a story. Now, I'm going to have you just look at this reading here just for a couple of seconds. Now, I want you to just, pause this video and take 3 minutes to read this article. Okay? Great. Now that we have the article, I'm going to show you the art of eliciting and CCQ the Tessel way. Okay? Okay. So now we know, everyone, Canada, and can you guess what province is this? It's the largest province. Begins with the letter Q. That's right, Quebec. And what do you call the people who live in the first people, the native people? What do you call those people who live on the land? They're called the what? That's right, the native Indians. Now, the native Indians use these kind of weapons. They're like very small axes. What do you call those kind of weapons? It's called it's like Tom and Jerry cartoon. It's a big bird, not an eagle, but it begins with letter H, tomahawk. Okay, are we talking about this kind of tomahawk? Navy missile tomahawk? No. Are we talking about this kind of tomahawk? Yes. Now, the Indians were one day, the story goes that one day they were playing around with a tomahawk, some kids, some Indian boys. Now, they threw the tomahawk and it hit a tree. And from this tree came this right here. This is called, what do we call this, everybody? It rhymes with raps. That's right, sap. Now, the sap, how does the sap feel? Very sticky, right? Very sticky. Well, it turns out that they collected this and they found a way of making this kind of a sweet syrup. So what they did is in modern times we put people put a spout in the tree. They drilled a hole to collect this sap. Now the sap was collected in buckets, and these buckets of sap were taken to a little shack called a sugar shack. Now, why do you think they're called a sugar shack? Well, the sugar shack is because this is where they made maple syrup. That's right. And how does maple syrup taste? Is it salty? No. Is it sweet? Yes. That's why it's called what? What is it? A sugar shack, right? Now, it takes 40 buckets of sap to make just one bucket of delicious maple syrup. Now today we're going to share a little story today on maple syrup. So Tommy and Vivi, do you guys want to come over here and look around on this story? Come on guys, yes, go look at this. Ready? We have a story. The story is called Maple Syrup, The Experience. Oh, Canada. The title is We Make Maple Syrup. This is my family. Every March, we make maple syrup. Real maple syrup comes from maple sap. Sap is the juice in trees. It's sort of like the blood in us. March is a good time to get the sap. It's still cold outside, but we wear our boots and hats. We go out to the woods behind my grandparents' home. We look for maple trees. To tap a tree, we drill a hole. We push a spout in the hole, then we hang a bucket to get the sap. We tap the big trees. Big trees have the most sap. We wait for the first drip. Ping! One more drip and we're on the next tree. All that day, we let the sap drip. Before dark, we look into our buckets. We have a lot of sap, but we want more. 40 buckets of sap boil down to make one bucket of syrup. Okay, go ahead, sweetie. The next day, we look again. Now we have what we want. It boils all day under a blue sky. The sky grows dark. The stars come out. From outside, Grandma calls, "Time for dinner! Make those pancakes!" We do. The syrup cools while the pancakes cook. And the last picture is up to you. What do you think the last picture would say? I think it says, "At last, finally, we have maple syrup for our pancakes." Okay, everyone. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson on eliciting CCQs and which is all pre-reading preparation for the article. It makes, again, skimming for details and scanning much more easier and encourages the student to help them even speed read. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. And again, thank you for your time today. Hope you enjoyed the presentation on Canada. Hope to see you next time. On our next lesson, we're going to be going off traveling to Okinawa next time. See you soon. Good night. God bless. Good luck.